Welcome students, welcome to the Accountancy Point where we study the various accounting concepts for class 11 and 12. Today I have come before you all to explain and continue the concept of what we had started in the previous video, that is the accounting principles. So this is my video number 5 and once again the same topic, accounting principle, which is related to GAAP part 2, and this is for class 11. Children, in the previous video I discussed about the 6 accounting principles or accounting concepts. If you have not gone through the video, the link is shared in the description column. Please watch the video so that you will be able to understand the concept which I am going to discuss right now in a better manner. So today we are going to continue the topic with point number 7, that is a revenue recognition concept. Children, revenue means what? Revenue means the income which is generated or the amount which is received by any business organization by the sale of goods and services is referred as revenue. In this particular concept, revenue recognition concept, this concept says that the revenue, for whatever period it has been generated, must be recorded in that period itself. Besides that, it says that revenue is earned by sale of goods or by providing a service. This concept determines the time or the particular period in which revenue is realized. Children, it is clearly explained in this concept that revenue is deemed to be realized when the title or ownership of the goods have been transferred to the buyer. We have to understand this. Revenue, there may be a lot many transactions related to earning revenue. For example, I have taken an example over here that X is a businessman who has received an order to supply goods on 15th April 2020. But the goods were actually supplied on 24th May 2020. And the payment was received on 10th June 2020. So in these 3 concepts, when should we consider the revenue generated? Children, you have to understand that in the first transaction, on the first date, that is 15th April 2020, there was no transaction which had taken place. It was just an event which took place in the business, since there was neither a payment nor the goods were actually delivered. So this will not come into consideration. Second, goods were supplied on 24th May 2020. This is the date when the ownership of the product was actually transferred. So, according to the revenue recognition concept, we must record the revenue generated. We must assume that we have earned the revenue, we have earned the income on 24th May 2020. Although the payment was received on 10th June 2020. We will consider that the revenue was generated on 24th May 2020. So according to this concept, the revenue is deemed to be realized when the title or ownership of the goods have been transferred to the buyer and when he has legally become liable to pay the amount. Whether he has paid the amount or not is not a matter to be considered under the revenue recognition concept. This is what is the next line. It should be noted that revenue recognition is not related with the receipt of cash. Whether you have received or cash or not is not a matter to be considered while we are talking about the revenue recognition concept. Next one is verifiable objective concept. Children, if you remember in my first video I had talked about, in the second video I talked about the basic accounting terms in which I discussed with you all the proof, the vouchers. Children, vouchers are what? They are nothing but they are the proof of the transactions taking place. So according to this very fiable objective concept, according to this concept requires that accounting transactions should be recorded in an objective manner, free from the personal bias of manager of or accountant. According to this concept, when we record the business transactions, it is assumed that there should not be any confusion, there should not be any personal biasness involved in the business transaction by any manager or the accountant. For example, the accountant might have withdrawn a cash of rupees 50,000, but he may not record it in the books of accounts. So when this will happen, this will become only possible when we will record the business transaction with the help of the evidences. For all business transactions, the evidences, the proof, the basis on which the business transaction must be recorded should be available for each and every transaction. There cannot be a transaction recorded in the books without having an evidence or a proof. And at the same time, there cannot be an evidence or a proof or a document which have not yet been recorded in the books of accounts. So here I have discussed that it is possible only when each transaction is supported by verifiable documents such as cash memo, invoice, sales bill, pay-in slip, agreements, etc. For example, when goods are purchased for cash, then obviously cash receipts of money paid must be used to record transactions. If goods were purchased on credit, the transaction must be supported by a copy of invoice or delivery challan. What I mean to say is, we should not record any business transactions. We cannot record any business transaction without an evidence, without a supporting document. Let us move to the next concept, that is matching concept. Now, what is a matching concept? Children, matching concept is actually a concept which is similar to the accrual concept of accounting, which we had discussed in the previous video number 4 of accounting principles, concepts. According to this concept, according to the matching concepts, the period during which revenue has been generated. For example, you have sold goods. So when goods are sold, income is generated. Suppose goods were sold in the month of June 2020. That means the revenue has been generated in the month of June 2020. Now, in order to sell those goods, there must be certain other expenses which might have been spent. So those expenses should also be identified, that during the month of June 2020, where the goods were sold of rupees, say whatever amount, related to that, how much amount was spent. So the cost or the expenses involved in the generating the revenue must also be identified and recorded during the same period of time. So this concept matches the revenue of a period with the expenses or its cost. So that is why the name has been given matching concept, where revenue is matched with the expenses. Here, this concept is very important for correct determination of net profit of any firm. According to this concept, in determining the net profit from business operations, all costs which are applicable to revenue of the period, that means all the expenses which are related to one particular period when a revenue was generated, should be charged against that revenue. Accordingly, for matching cost with revenue, first revenue should be recognized. According to this concept, it is always advisable that it becomes easy to identify the cost or the expenses related to revenue when we identify when was the revenue generated. So if you find out when the revenue is generated, it becomes easy for you to match it with the concerned expenses or the cost of that particular period. I have taken a few examples, 2 examples to explain this concept. Like outstanding salary. What is an outstanding salary? Outstanding salary is the salary which is not yet paid. Although it is not paid, but since it is related to the particular period of time. For example, salary of month of March has not been paid. But because of that, people have already worked, people have already helped you in selling the goods. So this is the expenses which is related to the month of March of a particular year. So it must be shown on the debit side of profit and loss. It must be shown in the profit and loss account because this expenses or outstanding salary is related to that particular period of time. Another example which I have taken is of prepaid expenses. Prepaid means paid in advance. The expenses which is related to the next year but has been paid now itself is not related to this particular accounting year. Okay, we have not generated the revenue yet, so we cannot relate it to this particular period of time. That is why prepaid expenses are not shown in the current year because they are not helping. They did not help in generating the revenue for that particular current accounting year. The next concept which we are going to discuss is the historical cost concept. The word historical has been created with the help of history, and history means something which is related to past. So according to this concept, an asset is ordinarily recorded in the books of accounts at the price at which it was acquired. At whatever price you have purchased a particular asset, it must be recorded at the same price. We ignore the market value of the assets when we are following the historical cost concept. Since the acquisition cost relates to the past, it is referred to as the historical cost. This cost is the basis of valuation of assets in the financial statements, means the balance sheet and PL account. For example, if a business entity, that means a business, has purchased a building for rupees 20 lakhs, it would be recorded in the books at this value itself. But however, this concept never says that an asset should be continuously shown at their acquisition price. Children, it is very much understood that when we buy any asset, especially fixed assets, so they are used for a sufficiently longer period of time. So anything which is related to the current accounting year must be only shown in that particular books as per the accrual concept. So suppose if you have bought a machine, an asset for rupees 20 lakhs, which is going to continue for next 10 years. That means every year the entire value of the asset will be divided by 10. So every year the value will depreciate by rupees 2 lakhs. So in the books of accounts, while showing the assets as per the historical cost, the assets are shown at cost less depreciation. You must remember this according to the historical cost. We'll continue with the next. Children, this is the next concept, that is the dual aspect concept. According to this, as the name suggests, dual aspect, that means two aspects. So according to this concept, all the business transactions which take place in the business have two aspects. According to this concept, every business transaction is recorded as having a dual aspect. In other words, every transactions have two aspects, one which gets debited and the other one which gets credited. We will learn the concept of debit and credit later on, but here you have to understand whichever business transaction takes place, it will have two aspects. One which will get debited, the other one which will get creditor. According to this concept, and because of this system, this particular concept is also known as double entry system concept. According to that, it is because of this concept that the two sides of the balance sheet is a financial statement which is prepared at the end after preparing the trading account, profit and loss account. So when we prepare the balance sheet, on one side we show all the assets and on the other side we show the capital and liabilities. Because of this dual aspect concept or the double entry system, both the sides of the balance sheet is always equal. And it is also because of this concept that we derive our accounting equation, which always holds the truth no matter whatever business transaction take place. The concept is assets is equal to capital plus liabilities. Children, this particular equation is known as the accounting equation, and this particular concept says that the total of assets is always equal to the sum total of capital and liabilities. I have just taken a simple example to make the concept clearer, that Radha is a businesswoman who started a business with cash rupees 10 lakhs and she took a loan of rupees 5 lakhs. So this is called your capital, because capital is the amount which is invested by the owner into the business. So this is the amount with which business is started. So this is the capital, and she has taken a loan of rupees 5 lakhs. Loan is something which you have to repay, so it is your liability. So the total amount which was received by the business is rupees 15 lakhs. Now with that 15 lakhs, she bought certain assets. So what can we say? What is the total value of assets? 15 lakhs. How much is the capital? 10 lakhs. And liabilities 5 lakhs. If you add this side, the total is 15 lakhs. So the total of this side is equal to the total of this side. So this particular concept is always prevailing in the balance sheet and in the accounts. It is because of the dual aspect concept. The next one is the concept of timeliness. There is a very old proverb, children: justice delayed is justice denied. That means if you do not get justice in time, it does not have any use. Okay, it is equal as if you have not been given any justice. So the same concept is followed in this particular concept, timeliness, which says that the books of accounts, the financial statements, should be quickly prepared after the accounting period gets over at the end of the accounting year. Because based on those results and reports, the management has to take many decisions. The external users will be deciding a lot many things. They will take decisions on the basis of these reports and the financial statements. So according to this concept, the financial statement should be prepared quickly at the end of the accounting period and should be made available to the management and other external users at the earliest possible time, so that they will be able to take necessary decisions. If the statements are delayed, that means if the statements are not prepared in time and not made available when they are needed, they will be of little or no use. I have taken an example. If the financial statements for the year ended 31st March 2019, the year got over on 31st March 2019, but the reports, the financial statements were prepared on 31st October 2019, and then it was ascertained and we came to know, the management came to know that the selling expenses have increased a lot. Now, children, the management will not be in a position to take appropriate action why the selling expenses of the previous year was high. and because of that the impact will be felt in the current accounting year also, and he would not be able to take necessary decision and step, and because of that the impact of those increased selling expenses might be felt in the current accounting year too. Or you may say there you may get a result that there is too much amount of money involved in is blocked in inventory in the stock. The stock could not be sold yet. There is already too much of goods which have been piled up. You could not sell it. But that was the condition 6 months ago on 31st March itself. Whereas you came to know this on 31st October. So you will not be able to take necessary step. You have already done the production in these 6 months also. So your inventory has increased yet. They have not yet been sold. And there is too much of amount has been blocked over there. So because of that your business may suffer. And since the financial statements have been presented very late, so the management will not be able to take necessary steps to reduce them. The next concept is the industry practice. What do you mean by industry practice? It's very simple to understand that there are certain methods which are prevailing and present in few industries. Okay, and since they have been used for such a long period of time that all the organizations which are new or coming up newly or which are very old, all of them have been using the same concept year after year. So this becomes the industry practice. So according to this concept, it says that it may be that your the accounting principles might not be followed over here, or it not be liked by most of them, but since it is used by the industry, so as a new organization, and each and every business organization must follow the same concept, so that the books of accounts of one organization may be compared with the books of accounts of the other organizations. For example, if straight line method is followed by an industry to charge depreciation on assets, then it becomes industry practice, and all the organizations should follow straight line method to charge depreciation. The next concept is the substance over legal form. Substance, children, substance means over here is the commercial reality. There are many situations when the reality is different from legal point of view. Okay, so according to this concept, transactions and other events should be accounted for, means should be recorded and presented according to their substance, that means the commercial reality and financial reality, and not according to their legal form. There are some transactions of which legal form is different from the fundamental commercial reality or financial reality. In such transactions, substance, means the financial reality or commercial reality, is preferred to the form of accounting purpose, and legal form is not followed. For example, I have taken an example over here, that suppose you have purchased an asset under the hire purchase system. Hire purchase system is just like the installment payment system, but it is a bit different from the installment payment system, because under the hire purchase system you become the owner only when you pay the last installment, but as per the installment system you become the owner as soon as you pay the first installment. So when any asset is purchased under hire purchase system, the asset is handed over, but the ownership gets transferred only when the last installment is paid. But in the books of accounts, we start recording the assets on the asset side of the balance sheet as soon as we have paid the first installment. We don't wait for the last installment to be paid and the ownership to be transferred and then to be recorded in the books of accounts. Children, these all were the accounting concepts. Now we will see the accounting conventions. Okay children, so now we are going to talk about accounting conventions. In the previous video we had discussed what accounting conventions are. Remember, accounting conventions are not a universal rule, it is not followed by all, but it may be a practice in a few business organizations, and it does not hold the legal existence as the accounting principles and concepts. Accounting convention is the convention of full disclosure. According to this convention, or this convention requires that all significant information, I am underlining the word significant. Significant means which holds importance relating to the economic affairs of the business should be completely disclosed. That means all business organization, while they are preparing and maintaining the books of accounts and the financial statements are prepared. So when the financial statements are prepared, all the important methods and concepts, information must be given to the various users of accounting statements. There must be sufficient disclosure of information which is of material interest to the users of the financial information, such as owners, present and potential creditors, investors. So for all the different categories of investors or the users, you may provide necessary information on the basis of which they may need to take certain necessary decisions. The principle is so important that the Companies Act makes ample provisions for the disclosure of essential information in the financial statements. The Companies Act 2013 also has clearly stated that all the related and necessary information must be disclosed at the end of the financial statements, so that the various users of accounting statements may make use of those information to take necessary decisions. For example, here I have taken that the contingent liabilities. Children, if you remember, we had discussed about this in the basic accounting terms, that the contingent liabilities are those liabilities which may or may not arise. It depends upon the happening of a certain event whether that liability will become a real liability or not. For example, there is a case going on against the company in the court. Now the company may have to pay, may not have to pay, depends upon the decision given by the court. If the court gives decision in favor of the company may not have to pay for it. If the decision is against the organization, the company may have to pay for it. So such type of contingent liabilities like provident fund, such legal cases, the bills which are discounted but not matured must be shown as footnote at the end of the balance sheet. Similarly, if there is change in the method of stock valuation, that must be informed to the relevant users. Okay, so but children, you have to understand that this particular concept never says that leak out the secrets of business. Leaking out is not the concept of the convention of full disclosure. This particular convention says that all the information which are relevant and significant to a particular group of investors or to the various users must be informed to them. The second one is the convention of materiality. This particular convention is the exception of this particular convention. According to the convention of materiality, this convention says that items having an insignificant effect or being irrelevant to the users need not be disclosed. That means according to this particular concept, all information is not needed to be disclosed to the all users because it may not be relevant to them. Okay, so it should be noted that what is material for one concern may be immaterial for another, and that is why only the informations which are related to a particular group of users must be given to them. All information should not be disclosed to everyone. For example, cost of loose tools or small tools may be material for small repairing workshops, but may not be material, or it may be immaterial for a big business house. The last convention is very important. Children, according to this convention, this is called convention of conservatism or prudence. According to this particular convention, whenever I teach this particular concept, I remember one advertisement which used to come on the television. जोर का झटका धीरे से लगे. So according to this particular concept of convention of conservatism or prudence is one of the convention which gives the opportunity to businessmen to be safe and play safe in the business, not to take risk. So according to this convention, businessman and the accountant should record all anticipated losses. That means if as an accountant or as a businessman you are expecting that in future you may suffer loss or you may have loss, so you may record them and prepare yourself from now itself so that in future you may not face the loss, the pain of loss may be minimized. Similarly, according to this convention itself, if you are expecting a profit in the future, it should not be recorded until or unless you actually get the profit or gain. So, this particular concept says that record all anticipated losses but ignore all anticipated gains. It is a policy of playing safe in business. For example, there are many businessmen who sell goods on credit. Now, if you have sold goods on credit, the people, those who have bought, might be declared insolvent. They may not be in a position to pay you. So that will be a bad debts for you. So the bad debts is always, and it's a regular thing which happen in the normal course of business. So businessman may create a provision in order to safeguard himself from the loss of bad debts. So provision for doubtful debts is created, keeping in view the losses or bad debts which may be generated due to credit sale. The another example which I have taken is the closing stock. Closing stock is the stock which remain unsold at the end of the year. It is valued at the cost price or market value or the realizable value, whichever is lesser. That means at the beginning itself we assume that we are at a loss. Now because of this loss, what may be the consequence, children? Because of this, your profit and loss account will show less profit, but it will keep you safe for the future. So these three were the accounting conventions which we had to understand. I hope this particular video will help you out in understanding the concept of accounting concepts and accounting conventions. Please do take good care of yourself, and don't forget to like, share, comment and subscribe to Accountancy Point. Thank you.